Welcome to another West Coast User Group meeting. I'm glad that a lot of the members of our community in the West Coast are able to attend today. So this is the second time that we're doing this, and something new that we're doing for this meeting is having a client demo, which will be presented by Rich Boswell from the Margaret Casey Foundation. So just to give everyone what to expect during the meeting, just some quick introductions about which organizations are registered to attend, and then we'll go straight to the client demo, have some time for Q&A, and if you have any burning questions, I have our co-founder and director of customer experience on the line as well, and some few reminders. And before I forget, I'd like to introduce myself again for those who haven't met before. My name is Claudine Ting, and I'm the marketing specialist for client success here at SmartSimple. I also have Eric Lauer to facilitate this meeting.
Hey, everybody.
Perfect. So just to give everyone a heads up of who's registered and who we're expecting to attend, we have the California Arts Council, California Clean Energy Fund, the California Endowment, Comcast, Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, Hirsch and Associates, Humanity United, the Margaret Casey Foundation, Pacific Foundation Services, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the Starbucks Foundation, State Bar of California, and Wellbeing Trust. During our meeting today, please feel free to just ask questions along the way, either through phone, your computer, audio, or if you'd like, you can type in the chat box as well, and I can relay your questions to the group. Okay, so I'm gonna head straight to the client demo. It will be led by Rich Boswell. So just to give you a quick overview about who Rich is a grants administrator for the Margaret Casey Foundation. He's responsible for the admin aspects of the foundation's grant making, pretty much everything from invitation to closeout. So his work allows him to engage with all departments, the grantees, and ensures the proposals, payments, reporting is completed in a timely manner. He also maintains the grants management database and coordinates IT functions at the foundation. Rich joined the foundation in 2010, and it's interesting to note that Rich doesn't have a tech background. He built the SmartSimple platform for the foundation pretty much on his own without any technical training. So I think let's just go straight into it. Over to you, Rich.
Hi, thanks, Claudine. I just want to let everybody know that I actually did not build it out by myself. I had a lot of help from SmartSimple and Lorena and Zora and Bob and Eric. So I didn't start from scratch, but I have gotten in there, and I'm very curious. So everything that we change on there, I want to know how it's changed, and so that I can do it next time. So I guess we can go to the next slide. So just a little background about the Marguerite Casey Foundation. We were spun off from a foundation here in Seattle called Casey Family Programs back in 2001, and our endowment is all funds that were bequeathed by the Casey family, who founded UPS here in Seattle back in the early 20th century. We've been an independent foundation. We separated from the Casey Family Programs in 2010. Kind of our elevator speech is that we believe no family should live in poverty. We invest in grassroots activism that builds the power and voice of families. Our aim is to nurture a national family-led movement that creates a more just and equitable society. And kind of our brand is that we ask, listen, and act. So we often convene our grantees and have them bring, family organizers to these convenings. We ask them what they need, we listen, and then we adjust our grant making attempt to meet those needs. I think we're unique in the philanthropic world in that we do long-term, all of our grants are multi-year grants, general support funding. Many of our grantees have been partners since the foundation started. I would say at least over half. So these are just some things on how SmartSimple has we only went live in January. So these are some of the places that SmartSimple has already kind of improved our grant making or our processes. First, it's improved our collaboration with our grantees and our staff. It's a lot more transparent about where grants are in the process, and we're able to kind of have more of a dialogue with the grantees in that we can, the program officers can review the proposals and actually have the ability to send the proposal back for revisions or refinement or just to ask more questions. And that's something that our old system wasn't really able to do easily. We would have to do it kind of externally through the email and then just add notes. But this documents everything within the system, and they don't even have to send an email. The message to them for the revisions comes right through. It's centralized information that everybody can access. It's eliminated the need for probably at least 3 kind of behemoth Excel spreadsheets that we used to use to track kind of our grant making, a docket, a tracking sheet. Some of our budgeting spreadsheets are now done within SmartSimple. And then, like I said, just transparent in our process. We know where every grant is in the process and who's responsible for it at any given moment with just a few clicks of the button. So some of the challenges. So, we're a pretty small foundation. We have a staff of about 21.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Jamie from Wellbeing Trust is asking, how many grants do you give out and a number of times in a year?
Yeah, so our grant making budget is about $28 million a year. I would say our core general grants are probably about 100 total grants. And then we also have matching and discretionary grants that bring our total more along the lines of 250 to 300 total number of grants per year. And that fluctuates pretty dramatically based on the year, because sometimes we will do supplemental grants if there's, just to help do voter engagement around elections and things like that. So, yeah, I would say probably around 300 and a total of about 28 million on average per year.
Okay, thank you very much, Rich.
No problem. So just training at various levels of technical competence, and right now our big focus is just kind of eliminating single points of failure. My job is one of those, and just getting everybody up to speed so that they can do the day-to-day tasks, the searches, the reporting, and stuff like that, and then I can focus on the back end. But we're also hiring somebody else who will learn the back end with me. And so, I'm learning that kind of one-on-one training is working a little bit better for our group of people, just because of the varying levels of technical competence. One of the challenges we're having is we had a relatively complicated manual process for everything. Even though we sort of used GIFs online, we still kind of manually did everything too. And so that manual process hasn't translated very efficiently into SmartSimple. So just kind of working out some of those inefficiencies and, just ironing out some of the wrinkles there. When we first went live, there were just some minor implementation bugs, just getting current, our legacy grants, the current active grants that were in there into the right workflows, and so that the triggers would happen correctly. And then I'd say that my biggest challenge right now is prioritizing updates and process changes. And to solve that, we're setting up a small user group here with some of the power users and kind of a committee that will help me kind of by consensus prioritize those updates and changes to the process. So yeah. So now I was going to do a demo of some of the three these are the three things that I think have enhanced our work the most within SmartSimple. I mean, there's a lot of them, but you know, we only have an hour, so I picked these three because I think they've changed our work the most. So should I just start sharing the screen, or?
Yep, just go ahead.
Okay. So I've already signed in, and just let me know when you can see that.
I can see your screen, Rich.
Okay. And now I have to put my PowerPoint over here so I remember where I'm at. Okay. So the first, and I think one of the most dramatic things that changes is just being able to manage our docket within the SmartSimple system. So we had SmartSimple create this docket manager for us, and you know, our landing page here, I used the white paper portal and was able to create these shortcuts directly into our docket managers to the various dockets. So I'll go through it this way first, which is where you can just see all of the dockets, and then you can just click into a docket, and then you can look at the linked applications to that docket. And so this was our May docket that we just had in Washington, D.C. And this was all in a spreadsheet, and that had a tab for each docket. And so we're able to do all of this within here. Our program officers can go in and quick edit things that they're responsible for, and without even opening the grant up. And then this is what it looks like if they come in through their home screen. They can just click on the button, and this I will tell you that we have it's looking up the grant history, and so this is a variable that does kind of slow down the system a little bit, but it's important for us, so it's kind of worth that little bit of a lag. People are able to put their notes right into the docket by going into the proposal and submitting a note. So that's that. I'd say the next thing that's been kind of revolutionary for us is now when the program officers receive a proposal, it comes into this submitted bucket, and they can click into the proposal. They can review the proposal either on a PDF or tab by tab. And then they have a button down here where they can either request revisions. Yeah, this is, I think this might just be part of our internet. They can request revisions, or they can move it forward into the write-up phase. I'll go into the one where some revisions were requested. So when they open that up, there's a box for them to type in their text for the revision request. So this is what this PO typed in: please rewrite the second objective, clarify desired outcome, need more specific. And then that gets sent to them when they hit the request revisions button. This gets sent to the applicant and any of the users that are attached to the grant. This grantee doesn't have any, like a development director you can attach to the grant. Everybody that's attached to the grant will get this email with this text in it. And that's been really, that's really improved the quality of our proposals, and it's ensured that the POs are kind of taking more ownership of the content of the proposals, and everybody's it's just provided another layer of transparency. This was all happening kind of in emails, and things were being said in emails that weren't necessarily being documented, not because anybody was doing anything wrong, just because we didn't really have, you know, I'm sure you guys have all had the same problems. So this is all in the system, captured, it's there forever. A PO 10 years from now can go back and see the history of this grant and you know, see if there's kind of continuing issues with the grantee or something that they didn't know about a grantee. Just, you know, it's keeping some of that institutional knowledge within the institution.
Rich, I have a question here from Angela from Humanity United. She's asking, are program officers' portals filtered to show only the grants or applications that they are responsible for?
Yeah, let me just real quick, and I will, let me real quick sign in as one of our program officers, and I'll show you how this is my portal. So actually, I'll go to our a program assistant. So the program assistants and the program officers only see the grants on their front page that are assigned to them. So it's a little bit different. So these grants are only ones that are for the region that this program assistant works in. Our program assistants are each assigned to 2 regions, and our PEOs are assigned to 1. So we have 1 assistant per 2. So you'll see that these active grants, this number is much lower. That's only in the 2 regions that Anne works in. These are the reports that are due only for her 2 regions. Now the dockets are full dockets for everyone. And everyone through the submission manager has access to our entire grant history and all of that. So if they needed to get something outside of their region for some reason, like one of the PAs was sick and they need to help another PO out, they can access everything, but this front page is specific to the individual who's there.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, no problem. And then that's the last thing on there. The other thing that's kind of been revolutionary for us is we started e-signed grant agreements with seniority, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, integration. And that I can show you kind of how that works. So once a grant is approved, the grant agreement is automatically generated and will show up in this drafts folder automatically. And I will go ahead and I can go into, and I'll go into one of these. I can show you what we do. So I can go into the grant when it's in the draft form, and I can edit some things if I need to, or you know, every now and then we get a university who doesn't like some language in here, and we can, you know, make minor changes to it. And then what I do is I generate the grant agreement after I make my changes. By clicking on here, I can review what the grant agreement is going to look like prior to it being sent out. And then there's a button down here that says approve. And what happens, and the way our system is currently configured is, I can show you right here actually. So first, this is a handy little tool. It tells you where in the process this is. And so it goes to our CEO first, and she signs it. And then after she signs it, it goes to the person who is in the applicant field of the grant, and then they sign it. And then while while it's pending signature on either side, it stays into this section. We also have it on our general grant making docket. I can send the grant agreements to be reviewed by the Director of Grant Making Evaluation. So he just makes sure that he just, does one final edit before we send it out. And then he sends it back to me, and then I send it out for signatures. Once the grant comes back signed by the grantee, it triggers the payment. If it's only one payment, it just triggers the one payment. If it's two, it sends the first payment into a scheduled status, and then that payment shows up on my payments window here. Sorry, I think with the Zoom and our internet combined, it's not going as fast. So they'll show up here, and then I can go in and I don't have any in the schedule, but I can open one of these. I can go in and code it. I can say it's EFT or check, put our coding in it, make sure that it has a Great Plains vendor number, and then we can, and then our finance manager, I'll send it to the ready for export status. Our finance manager comes in here, downloads the file and uploads it into our Great Plains system, where, so we don't, all that data entry that we had to do on our grants is now done. It's all by downloading a CSV file and then uploading it into Great Plains, and then we get another CSV file out of Great Plains, and we upload that down here in our autoloader, and then these are all changed into the paid status, and then that's it.
Rich, I have a question here from Justa from Hirsch and Associates. Can you please show us your application? It would be great to see where grant agreements live once they have been signed and submitted.
Oh, absolutely. Let me, here, I can get there. Actually, I should do this. So once they are, hold on, I gotta find one that was from this year. No. Hold on one second, because we only started this on our February docket, so we only have a couple, we only have 2 dockets in here with that. So let me go into one of these. So if you go into the submission record, which is the level 1 record, the signed grant agreement is right here, right underneath the application. And so you can just click on it, and yeah, I don't have the, I think if you have the plugin, it would open in, but then the grant agreement was here. So I think one thing you'll notice is we have, one of the things we have to do next is kind of clean up some of the branding on the grant agreements, and just in general, we were, at the same time that we were launching this, we were redesigning our website. So I was holding off on changing the color scheme and stuff like that until that was done. So
might be just to clarify, Eric, this might be a question for you. Jamie's asking, as a new SmartSimple user, is this e-signature system Rich is using embedded into the system?
It is. So it is a third-party service that we plug into using an API. So it works with SmartSimple, and you know, Rich could tell you how he finds it, but basically you put in your username and password from the third-party provider, and then it's configured so that it goes out, and the third party handles all the e-signature processing part, and it's legitimate. If they're valid, you know, yes, I did sign it, and it was me. We support right now too. I believe Rich is using Synority, which is a company here in Canada, and we also support Adobe Sign. Synority is, I think, a bit more affordable at the moment, and we are investigating some other vendors as well in terms of e-signature providers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that I would say, not maybe exaggerating a little, that the e-sign portion of this was probably the easiest. That actually went pretty smoothly and worked pretty well from the get-go. And seniority is great, and you know we do pay a fee for the seniority, but we can use that seniority account for things outside of SmartSimple too, which we plan on doing. I think with we were on the lowest plan, so you can have up to 200 a month, I think, on that, which we don't even come close to. So, but you know, if you have a higher volume, it might cost a little bit more, or if you need digital signatures, I think you have to go to a higher level, but we're just using the e-sign. So
yeah. And yeah, there's different options and there's different routing as well. So I can't remember, sorry, Rich, offhand what you use, but there's this sort of sequential signing where, okay, maybe it goes to me first and then it knows to go to Rich or whoever.
Yeah.
Or you can do that sort of like, as long as 3 out of the 5 sign, or it goes to everybody at the same time and then it just waits till everyone's signed off. So they can incorporate different kind of rules around how the signing works.
We do the sequential signing, so it goes to our CEO first, and then it goes to the person in the applicant field, and then it comes, I get a notification, they each get a copy of it in their inboxes, and then it's stored in the level 1 record.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's another question, Rich. I think it's, they're asking, Elizabeth is asking, how many agreements do you send out for signature on a monthly basis?
You know, I would say anywhere between 2 and 50. So, you know, we have 3 board meetings a year where we do grant making. And so those months, it could be, you know, 30, 40, 50, and then plus some of the discretionary ones. The matching gifts, obviously, there's no grant agreement for. So I would say, you know, a high volume month would be probably 50. If we do I'm thinking like last November, we probably had like 70 go out because we did a special supplemental grant thing. So yeah, you know, even though we give away so much per year, we do much larger grants, I think. So it doesn't come out through the same volume.
And I think there's a follow-up question to that as to how many awards would you make annually?
I would say probably between 250 and 300. But that's including matching gifts, which can kind of increase that volume, but without. So on our general docket, I would say probably about 100, and our discretionary probably another 100, and then, you know, 50 or 60 on our matching. But that's it fluctuates pretty wildly by year, but definitely not more than 350.
Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, I think if you know, the volume would increase the cost on the grant agreement side, but this is so efficient that we could, you know, we could increase our capacity without really having to, you know, hire somebody else or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because of the system.
Cool.
So, let's go back into there. Yeah, I kind of ran through that. I could show the audit trail at the end of it. And I guess I could have just gone. So here's a signed agreement. So this is Luz's first signature, and that's just kind of the award letter. And as you can see, we obviously have some work to do on this. I believe, and Eric can correct me, this is all HTML coding.
Yeah.
That then converts into a PDF, and then
we can Yeah, you can insert, yeah, it's called PD4ML, it's actually called, where it converts HTML to PDF. But you can insert where you have the breaks, though.
Yeah, and we need to work on that. So Josh's email is probably, or signature is probably under here. Luz's is here, but I think the most important part of this is kind of this audit trail that captures their information and when they signed, and I believe it even captures their IP addresses at various stages of it. Like, so they have to accept the terms and services of seniority. They can download it and they sign it, just things like that, and then it's sent back to us. And then we can also access this from seniority's portal. Which I could show you really quick if that's helpful, but I don't want to take up more than my fair share of the time either. So, yeah. Okay, and okay, and then I'll just share this over here. That's not what I meant to do. So then just what's next for us is we want to add program-related investments into this. I don't know why it's doing that. We want to, right now, our grant-making team is the only one who's really using this, and we want to incorporate our communications team into this and use it as a CRM for them, have them be able to document calls with grantees. We actually publish a newspaper, so we have a couple of reporters on staff and just having them document their interactions with our grantees, sending out newsletters potentially through the SmartSimple system, and then cataloging some of that media that they collect, the pictures that they get taken, the linking the articles that they write about specific grantees to their organization records. We also convene our grantees every couple of years, where we actually fly all of our grantees into one location, put them up in a hotel. And so one of the selling features of SmartSimple was their event manager. So we're hoping to get that built out before our next convening in 2020 or 21. And then we sometimes have network or regional convenings that we'll be able to use that for. And we have even talked about human resources using it for some of their things like performance reviews and just things like that. It's, as a company, we feel like we made a huge investment in SmartSimple, and we want to be able to use it to its fullest extent and make it an integral part of our culture, where it's the first place that people go to look for information about the foundation.
That is amazing. Thank you, Rich. So with this client demo, I know that Rich gave the presentation, and again, open for questions anytime. But Rich, do you have any questions to the people attending this user group meeting?
Yeah, I guess, you guys brought up some good points, and I would be interested in how much of kind of the back end stuff people do in-house and how much they do through SmartSimple, like, through premium support and just things like that. And I think I've had some challenges with the support and not knowing like what's included in it and what's kind of extra, things like that. And I'm sure I'm kind of a thorn in the side, because I maybe like to do too much. I don't know. That's one thing. And then just, I don't know, any feedback that you guys had about what I showed, it would be great. Just if you saw something that was kind of like, hey, I know how you could do that better, that would, I always like that kind of feedback, because we really don't like to reinvent the wheel. And anybody who's working on PRIs, I would really love to have a conversation with you over the phone about that, and just your experience with putting that into SmartSimple. that's my next kind of project is getting our PRIs into the system.
Okay. Can anyone provide feedback on that one? Anyone on premium support in the crowd right now? Eric, do you have any words about that?
No, I mean, I think from my experience, so Tiffany from State Bar just says they do everything in house and they don't use support very much, sparingly. I think it's kind of so since I'm involved on the support side a little bit, I think it's kind of hit and miss. Some organizations use it a lot and outsource everything to us. I think it really depends on capacity and size. And then others are fairly self-sufficient. And it really, I think it depends on, I say the key factors would be, and I don't mean size of the foundation, I just mean size of the staff. Like in your case, Rich, I guess you guys have the capacity, you're dedicated to administering the system, in addition to other duties. But I know for some foundations, they don't have that option. So, for them, it makes sense to sort of outsource the any configuration and changes. But I don't know if it would be. I don't know if it would be a good mix. I know I saw Angela on there. I mean, sometimes I've seen, to be quite honest, I mean, I've seen some personality issues. Not to say that anyone's not qualified, but the support rep that you are working with, I think it's important to have a good rapport with them and that the personalities click. Certain people work a certain way, right? So I think it's important to have someone, and we have moved support reps around just to make sure that, they jive well with the person on the other end of the phone. So, things like that. Another question's come in from Jessica just about the, maybe I'll take I'll answer the technical part, Rich, and then I'll leave it up to you for the business process. But she's asking about what does the object email mean on the application record. So technically what that is, it's a feature within SmartSimple that you can use to create a unique email address for any object. And when I say object, I'm referring to an application, maybe a review form, site visit, any of the level 2s if we're going to use SmartSimple speak, contacts, or even organizations. And the way it works is similarly to maybe, if you guys ordered anything from Amazon or any kind of online ordering, you get your order confirmation. It'll say, oh, if you have any questions about your order, reply to this address. And it's some kind of weird, unique address. So in SmartSimple, that email address you're seeing there is this application's email address. So if Rich sends an email to that address, it gets attached to this record automatically by the system. So maybe, Rich, you can say how you guys use it, but technically that's what it's doing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of did this myself. I believe there is some setup involved. So on the submission records, which is the level 1 in the submission manager, if you email something to this email, it will create an activity. Yep. And we're not using this fully yet, but we're starting to. And I've set it up so that activity will show up here. Oh, somebody did send one. So if I click in this email, it will have that email. Oh, this is an email that was sent out. This saying that we got their application. But if it was something that I had sent to their, I have set up a workflow that that puts it there. I'm trying to find one because I did one yesterday where somebody sent something to it, and even the attachment will show up within that record, that activity record. So I hold on, I don't want to show you guys my email. Yeah, it's basically.
So yeah, it will show up in that activity record, like I just showed where it was, and the attachments will show up, and the name of the activity will be the subject of the email. But I did have to create that workflow, like if when an email is received, what to do with it. I don't know if I had to, but I did. When I didn't have that workflow set up, it wasn't clear where that email was going.
Oh, it's the key thing. Actually, if you go, can you go to the Submission Manager homepage, I guess, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you go into your, if you don't mind, if you can go into the configuration. So what that requires to work, if you go now to the Activity tab in there, it does require you go right down to the bottom. It does require you to set up those settings there. So you need to create a level 2 type called, well,
email.
You call it email. You can call it whatever you want, really, but email. And then you have to define those fields, like, you know, what's the status of something sent, received? Where should I put the attachments? And then when you email that object email, it will know to attach any emails that come in to that location. So you shouldn't. I don't think you needed to do the workflow. If you can use the workflows to send emails out. So if I'm sending an email out, let's say I'm sending it to you, Rich. Let's say you're the applicant. I can create a workflow that goes to you and CCs your unique email address. So that way, when you reply as an applicant, you can say reply all, and you don't have to like manually type that in or copy and paste it. Right.
You know, you're right. This is what I did. I didn't create a workflow. I just misremembered. But yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing on the organization tab, and I haven't quite figured that out. I've sent each of the organizations also has an object email, because there's some emails that are just not grant specific, but kind of overarch, you know, are organization specific, like a change in leadership or address change or something like that. Although we wouldn't collect all of that information, but I haven't figured out where those emails are going yet, and it's been a low priority. I haven't sent in a support record, but I know that there's a way to I think on any object, whether it's an organization, a contact, and and a level 1 activity or a level 1, you can have an object email, right?
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think what you said there is a good use case just for the others to point out. We kind of came up with the idea, I think, because we did a lot of online shopping here, but B, from, you know, sometimes you have an email that's, like you pointed out, Rich, it's not necessarily unique to me. It's unique. It's important to my organization. So, you know, emails are user-based, but what our communication was about today, I may not work there next year, but that communication is important to capture. So by putting it at the organization, you can kind of build this organizational level communication rather than, oh, right, did I email Eric about that, or did I email Rich about that, or whoever?
Right, and it keeps again containing that institutional knowledge within SmartSimple, so that when people move along, or what we call the Metro bus rule, in case somebody gets hit by a bus or wins the lottery, when we don't lose that information. Depends on if you're an optimist or a pessimist, but.
Better be ready for either way, right?
Yeah.
I'll go with the lottery one.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? I think we can switch back to our screens now.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Tiffany just wanted to say thank you for the presentation, and as well as Angela. Thank you, everyone, for coming and attending. I will be providing a recording of this user group meeting to everyone who attended and everyone who missed it. Just a few reminders for everybody before we end the meeting. We will be opening registration for Elevate, our annual conference, on October 17th to 19th. Registration will open next month, so please please watch out for any emails that will be coming from our team. Again, thank you so much for attending this user group meeting. If you have any other questions, feel free to send me an email or Eric or our support team, and we'd be glad to help you. Thank you and have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your lunch. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Claudine. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.